All right, gang, let's work on our 5.5a practice problems. We're going to be talking about triangle inequality properties. To remind you, our goal for this lesson is to understand how side lengths and angle measures are related in a triangle. We did an exploration in the last video. If you're not sure about that, please go back and check that out. Otherwise, I'm going to have you pause right now, and we will jump ahead to the practice problems on page 2. All right, these practice problems, we are going to be talking about opposite sides and angles. What I want you to do for these problems is to circle the largest angle of triangle ABC and identify the longest side. And then we are going to box the smallest angle of triangle ABC and identify the shortest side of the triangle. All right, so one thing that I want you to think about, it says, how many letters do you use to name a segment? The safest way to name a segment is always to use 2 letters. So make sure that you do that. We did talk about the shortcut in the other video, but 2 letters is always the safest way to name a segment. So pay attention to that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the longest side. The question asked us to circle the largest angle of the triangle. So we go to the triangle, and clearly 108 is the largest angle. And then if we want to find the longest side, we know that it's related to that longest angle. It is always opposite of it. So we choose the side that does not touch the blue circle, and that would be this side right here. Those are what we call opposites of each other. And so we would name that side AC. When we want to find the shortest side, remember that our directions asked us to box the smallest angle. So now we will put a box around the smallest angle. And to find the shortest side, we will find the side that is opposite of that. It does not touch it. So the side that is opposite of this would be this guy down here. So I'm going to mark that guy right there. And to name that, we use the 2 letters on either end. We use the B and the C. So our shortest side is BC, segment BC. All right, I'm going to jump ahead, and I will catch up with you on question B. All right, for question B, they want us to darken the longest side of triangle ABC and identify the largest angle of ABC, and then we are going to put X's on the shortest side and identify the smallest angle. So in this question, remember that we are naming angles, and the question here on the side, just a reminder, it says how many letters do you use to name an angle? And 3 letters is the safest way. So if you named an angle WXY, remember this right here is the vertex or the point of your triangle. That always goes in the middle. So the safest way to name an angle is to use 3 letters. Now, back to the question. They asked us to darken the longest side. If I look at this picture, I can clearly see that 22 is the longest. So I'm going to make this side right here darker. And then from there, I want to identify the largest angle. And I remember that the side and the angle, the biggest ones, are always opposite of each other. That means that angle B is my largest angle, which another name for angle B would be angle, CBA or ABC. Remembering that B has to be in the middle. That's my middle letter. Then the question asked us to put X's on the shortest side. So for that, I have the 15 and the 18. This guy right here, 15, is definitely the shortest side. And remembering that the smallest angle has to be across from the shortest side, I know that angle C is the smallest angle. And again, if I want to name that with my 3 letters, I can go BCA or ACB. It doesn't matter as long as C is in the middle. So I'm going to call this angle ACB. Then we're going to jump ahead and we are going to practice our cubics with questions C and D. I'll catch up with you in a second. All right, we're on questions C and D, and for these we're going to work on sketching triangles. Oops. Sketching our triangles right here. We are going to use our cubic strategy that we learned earlier in the school year. Remember, that's where you circle the number, you underline the question, you box the geometry words, and then from there you draw a picture and then you set it up and explain it. So for this question, we actually have lots of stuff that we can read and go through. For this question, it says that they would like us sketch each triangle as described. All triangles should be orientated the same way. That means our pictures might not be exactly the same, but they will have the same appearance. So this question asks us to sketch triangle ABC with the longest side AB on the bottom, measuring 15 centimeters, and the shortest side AC on the left, measuring 10 centimeters. The third side, measuring 12, is on the right. The 3 angles measure 20, 65, and 95. So for this, let's first go through our cubic strategy, our numbers. We have the 20, the 65, the 95, and then we have some side numbers in here. We have 12 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and 15 centimeters. Those are all numbers that are going to go on our picture. We are going to underline the question, and it says sketch triangle ABC. That's ultimately what we're going to be doing in this whole problem. And then we have to box some geometry words, and for this they talk about the longest side, and they talk about the shortest side, and then they talk about the third side. That's really what our lessons have been about. And they also talk about the bottom and the left and the right, so we have to pay attention to that also. All right, let's start with sketching the triangle with the longest side AB on the bottom. I think that's probably the easiest, so we'll put the longest side on the bottom, and that means the other 2 sides are going to be there. And from our side numbers, we have 15, 12, and 10. Of those 3 numbers, which one is the longest? And that would be the 15. So we're going to put 15 centimeters on the side on the bottom. Then it says that they want the shortest side AC on the left. So the left side of my triangle is right here, and that has to be the shortest. And there's my 10. So right there, I'm going to put my 10 centimeters. And then the third side is 12, and the only side I have left is right there. Now, a couple things that we want to think about. We have sides AB, sides AC, and the third side. And so notice that we have A on both of those. On the bottom we have AC, and on the left we AB, and on the left we have AC. That means on the bottom, AB matches with AC. My longest is AB, and my middle is AC. Now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the angles. These are my 3 angles, 20, 65, 95. They didn't give me any information about where to put those. So I have to think about what we learned in the lesson. I do know that this biggest angle has to be opposite the biggest side. So I look here, 15 is my biggest side. So the largest angle has to be up on the top. And I'm going to put my 95 degrees right on the top. Then my smallest angle has to be opposite my smallest side. And my smallest side is 10 right there. So the angle opposite of that is the one all the way across here. And I'm going to put my 20 degrees right there. And the only thing left is 65. And that goes right there. Notice those are going in my angles right there. Everybody's triangle should look approximately the same. One thing that I think can be helpful is to order your numbers in order from big to small. So I have 15, 12, and 10. And then I can order my angles from big to small, 95, 65, 25, 20, 95, 65, and 20. And in my triangle, those should be opposite of each other. Look at your picture real quick. Is 95 and 15 opposite of each other? There's 95, there's 15, opposites. Is 12 and 65 opposite of each other? There's 65, there's 12, they are opposite of each other. And the last two, 10 and 20, those are opposite of each other, so I feel good with that triangle. What I would like you to do is pause your video, try question D, and then we can work together to get that one all finished. All right, question D. I have already gone through and filled out my cubics, circled, underlined, boxed. Let's go through and read the question. It asks us to sketch the triangle with the largest angle X on the bottom, measuring 115, and the smallest angle Y on the right, measuring 20 degrees. The three sides measure 20, 16, and 11. So again, let's start at the beginning. We're going to be drawing a picture. It asks us to put the largest angle X on the bottom. So when I draw my triangle, it's going to kind of look upside down. This must be X, and that has to be the largest angle. And when I look at my angle measures, 115 and 20, this obtuse angle clearly has to be the largest, so 115 has to be right there. Keep reading. It says the smallest angle Y has to be on the right. So the right side is over here on the right, and so I have to put my Y right here, and I have to put 20 degrees right there. That means that Z has to be here, and in this case I actually don't have a third angle measure. So we're going to have to find out what that is. Knowing that we have 180 degrees in a triangle, and if I take away my 115 and I take away my 20, it turns out that I have only 45 degrees left. That means this guy right here has to be 45 degrees. Those three angles add up to 180. Then I start thinking about my sides. It says the three sides measure 20, 16, and 11. Let's start with the biggest side, and I know that the biggest side has to be opposite the biggest angle, so 115 is my biggest angle. So up here on the top is where I'm going to put my largest side, and that's where I'm going to put my 20 inches. Then, oops. Sorry about that. My smallest side is 11. That means my smallest side has to be opposite my smallest angle. My smallest angle is the 20. That means over here on this side is where I have to put my 11. And that means 16 has to be on this side. Again, I can double check my work by ordering my numbers. From biggest to smallest, I have 115, 45, and 20. And then from biggest to smallest, I have my sides of 20, 16, and 11. And double check, are those numbers opposite of each other? Do I have 115 opposites? 45 and 16 opposites, and 20 and 11, are they opposites? And I think it looks like we have that. There is our triangle XYZ. This is for sure something that I think you need to be able to do, so I would make sure that you study this part for the test. That would be a good way for me to check to make sure that you understand all of the ideas of side length and angle measures in a triangle. See you in class.